On this episode of Rogs Talking Drums, I'm going to be talking with Ed Clift, representative for Paiste Cymbals since 25 years. We'll be covering a brief overview of Paiste's history, sampling many of Paiste's revered and unique sounds, and get to know more about Ed's work with drummers and percussionists all over the world. You'll get to see Ed in action behind his drum set, demonstrating various applications of Paiste Cymbals, sounds, and gongs. Early on, people used to individually just walk into the store and say, hey, I need something. Isn't that how it happened initially, and they'd actually just hand hammer it right on site?
Yeah, in the earliest days, an individual would ask for a cymbal, and Michael would produce that cymbal. Even though the musical environment was so very different in those years than today, the fundamentals of the music asking for a given cymbal is kind of what happens. And the drum set is a relatively new instrument in the grand scheme of things. The formative years of the drum kit as such saw a lot of development and a fairly rapid pace too. And when a drummer would accent or punctuate a musical phrase with a small, thin cymbal, it had a splashy sound and hence called a splash. The thing is, in the early years, especially like in the 30s, the 40s, cymbals were largely made in a more of a happenstance manner. Cymbal makers were relying on accidental results, and really the proof of that is how cymbals would be shipped to the shop without a stamp on there identifying it as a ride or a crash or what have you. And the cymbal maker would send the cymbals into the shops with a set of rubber stamps. And it would be up to the shop owner and the drummer to decide what kind of cymbal that was. And to this day, certainly drummers associate a certain sound with a certain name. The names of cymbals have become just all over the map. Different names mean different things to different drummers. Like a fast crash has a really fast response. That fast crash has become a bit of a benchmark in terms of how cymbals are identified. And Paiste has done a lot of hard work to demystify some of that sort of proprietary terminology as well. By the way, the main difference in price between cymbal lines have to do with A, the amount of time it takes to make the cymbal, and B, the number of models and sizes that are available in that line. When a line has a broad range of models and sizes, such as the 2002s, it contributes greatly to the production of that line. compared to, for example, the PST-5, which is the same material. It's a 2002 family of sound. It's the same alloy. The production method with the PST-5 is automated. So it takes exponentially more time to handcraft the 2002, and there's a great many more models and sizes available on that line. So that is largely what the difference in price comes from between cymbal lines.
Okay. I love the PST-5s, by the way. You know, the alloy is just amazing. And this cymbal, that was a really full-sounding cymbal. There's so much variety in the different styles of cymbals you offer. I think that's completely amazing. And like we talked about earlier, that you named specific models for the way they sound. I think that's really cool.
Well, the next episode we have to get deep into both the 20 series and the Alpha Brilliance, which are a whole story unto themselves. And we've seen a lot of development with the Alpha line and a lot of acceptance by top international drummers. So that's a really great success story these days at Paiste.
Well, Ed, I just want to thank you so much. This is a dream come true for me. I cannot believe what we got set up here. I cannot believe your performances over the weekend. This is amazing. I just can't thank you so much for taking the time to do this and talk so much about the Paiste history, the product, and demonstrate so much of this for people to hear.
Well, it's been my privilege to be here with you, Paul, and it's a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to doing the next episode.
Thank you very much.
The Paiste family has entrusted me with very many opportunities for which I'll forever be indebted. My experience with Paiste has been an adventure, and there's no reason to believe the best is behind me. Applying a lifetime of musical experience to learning the language of drummers, and more specifically the language of cymbal sound, has often paid off in this work. Suffice to say that turning student drummers on to how even the least expensive Paiste cymbals can provide a satisfying sound and function, and working with the most advanced drummers and percussionists around our most expressive instruments are equally rewarding. The latest gems from Paiste include our new Swiss crashes, the exquisite 20 Masters collection, a trip back to the roots with the reintroduction of Formula 602, and the 2002's 40th anniversary. After all these years, I still enjoy helping inquisitive drummers discover that elusive comfort zone in their cymbal sound, or demystifying for musicians and non-musicians alike the most user-friendly instruments of them all, gongs. 12 years or more. He's a great drummer.
Well, as a representative of Paiste Cymbals, you also do drum clinics yourself. Can you tell me a little bit about putting on a clinic?
Well, I've been involved in doing a lot of that type of activity since the middle 80s. It's a really interesting part of my job. I really enjoy it. It gives me a chance to interact directly with all manner of drummers and percussionists. There's just so many incredible drummers and percussionists out there. You know, I feel like I'm at my best when I'm a student, and you know, it's a good example because when I do those kinds of things, workshops or clinics, oftentimes I feel like I learn more than maybe they do, and I always look forward to being there to learn from those drummers.
What is the true function of a clinic?
Well, it's really, and what I do mostly is teach drummers about Paiste cymbals and sounds, and showing them specific application of sounds. It's a pretty deep thing that Paiste brings to the party, so you need to connect the dots for people and fill in the blanks a little bit, as it were, and that's what I do.
Well, how much can you put in here if you're going to go on a clinic? I mean, how much stuff can you get in this plane?
Well, I guess I can take all the weapons and gels and about 800 pounds of cymbals I want on this, and don't have to worry about security or the carry-on or whatever, but it has its limitations. I can only take a certain volume of things in here. I can't fit anything bigger than a 38-inch gong in the Dakota, but I have been known to take a lot of stuff around. Most recently, we did a watershed event in Memphis called the Cymbal Summit at a place called the Memphis Drum Shop, and I took the back seats out. In fact, the airplane's configured that way right now to haul around a lot of instruments.